Short story by Paul McCann. Bare Trees. The shadows fell as winter kissed its cold, frosty breath across the iron railings along Lagan Way. At the gate, Mac waited for the rest of the band members to arrive. Each Friday evening the band practiced a few brackets of songs. It was always harder to get motivated in the winter. Cold fingers, playing guitars. It often clashed in the cold old steel tin hut. The only thing that offered some relief was the old kerosene heater in the corner that barely melted the ice off the roof. Most of the band members wore 2 layers of clothing to keep them warm. Over the years, a great bond of friendship had developed with everyone in the band, and the music they played was brilliant. Now and then I went to listen to them rehearse and found myself standing there like a stray cat waiting to get run over by this runaway train. The band were exciting and new. Their pitch was at schools, college, pubs, clubs. The band was called Bare Trees, and for the first time they were going to try out a female lead vocalist. The band had regular groupies. They always gathered in the hut on a Friday night as the band turned up and tuned and plugged their instruments. The moment she came, she took the microphone. Something happened. The band were in love with Karen. She started to sing the blues. There and then the band accompanied her. I had to keep telling myself, settle. Her voice was fantastic. She had introduced a romantic edge to the band's sound. She was what Bare Trees needed, and anyone who knew the band would say exactly the same thing. In that first moment, in that beautiful moment, the band found new direction and sound. It was like an echo from a heartfelt embrace. Karen asked, "Do you remember any of the New Age stuff from the late 80s? Everyone understood, and the band began to play a B-52 track. Karen gave the silent nod of the head and opened up in a high-pitched vocal that sent goosebumps on my skin. As I stood there listening to the band, I knew something magic was happening, and the experience was shared by all those who had come. From the microphone, Karen's eyes stared out at me and the few of us who sat in front of the band in the old tin hut. She spoke softly to us as if we were a large audience. She told us how pleased she was to see us there and then asked for the band to play a love song. You Can't Hurry Love. She sung out every note and every word, and it rested easy with the entire crew. Suddenly 2 or 3 more people who were passing by and heard the band came into the old hut. In about a half an hour, the hut was packed full. Everyone wanted to know what the band was called and where they would be playing. After the rehearsal was over, I had asked the crowd to vacate the hut. It was difficult to get them out. They wanted the band to keep playing. I knew there and then the Bare Trees were going to make it big. As their friend and manager, I asked them if they would be interested to go on a small tour around the country when the summer came. Everyone was all for it. We all stood there looking at each other in a circle, and then Karen asked if she passed the audition. "Don't you dare disappear from here," I said. Outside the night was cold and dark, and well, the stars shone in a faraway sky. I reached out to touch Karen's hand. It was as cold as ice. "Karen? What more can I say? Your voice is as warm as a glove in an Arctic wind." "Is everyone okay here with Karen joining a band?" I asked. "You're welcome here," said one. Another bravely threw back his hair over his head. "Cool, yeah. I'm looking at you and I'm telling you that's okay. You're okay. And another, with freckles on his face, replied, Yeah, your voice is fine a spot with us. One by one it was agreed, and we all took slow, frozen footsteps for home. Tears dropped where Karen trod. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing's wrong. I'm just so happy, she said. There and then I couldn't wait to hear her sing again. Listen, Karen, tomorrow we're going to go through a few more numbers. If you could be there, that would be great. I gave her a contact phone number and place where we would be. She looked at me, and suddenly a picture of Karen had been axe-red within my heart, and I was momentarily struck by love. See you tomorrow? See you tomorrow. Oh, yes. Yeah. Thanks, Karen. She walked away into the night, and we all watched her disappear. Well, the Bond's response was, to say the least, a mixture of infatuation, courage, and admiration for her. Who's going to be first to ask Karen out? Max said. I replied, Okay, guys, come on, settle down. We have to be professional about things now. Bird trees mustn't let their personal feelings take over. During the next week or so, we all went to the night cafe, the gym, and the hut for more rehearsals. The band was really tight, and Karen's vocals had made a big impact to the sound. Some of us met secretly on the weekend. We went for walks together with Karen, and we all thought that nobody else knew about the secret dates we were having. Karen got to know us all at first. Music was our real love, and we were all friends, great friends. After some really good gigs, we began to get some good money at the door, and it wasn't long before the band bought its very first van. The band toured that summer, and we wrote a song called Lost and Found. It became a hit, and we were on the road and playing music. A 6-album deal with a music publisher was offered, and we accepted it. Suddenly, Bird Trees had emerged from nowhere. The end.